So here's all the food that I will be bringing on a 2-week trip. I have some of these GU packet things left over. Basically, 100 calories of gel, some potassium. Basically, they'll be good for those long days when I'm paddling, starting to get exhausted. Little energy boost. This is 2.5 pounds of dehydrated ham. 1 package of dehydrated imitation crab. These two will go into my creamy potato soup, and that'll be basically 3 separate meals. I have some 2 pounds of noodles to heat up and add to my soups. I got the wild rice soup, and I have 2 pounds of dehydrated hamburger. By the way, this is my first time experimenting with dehydrating meat, so hopefully it goes alright. I put together a little mix of chili powder and brown sugar, and that will go on my lake trout that I catch. Instant coffee, some potatoes to go with walleye, northern pike, Cajun fish mix, oil, tinfoil for fish, open on catching fish. And my buddy Paul Smith taught me everything I need to know about catching smallmouth bass and excellent recipes on how to cook them. Just kidding, Paul. I'm not going to harm any smallmouth bass in the making of this film. But I'm hoping to harm a couple lake trout and walleye. 8 apples, 11 bananas, 3 pineapples, and 4 pints of strawberries, and 7 peaches, 1 pint of mushrooms, and 4 red and yellow peppers. I picked up some simple Nutri-Grain snacks if I don't feel like, if it's rainy maybe in the morning, I don't feel like cooking oatmeal, I can have that. And then during the day to snack on, I picked up a bunch of cashews, raisins, nuts, sunflower seeds. Good source of protein, fats, carbs. Bunch of good energy, and the reality is I am going to need all I can get for catching all these fish. Alright, so I'll quickly try to go over what you're going to need for a 2-week trip, a solo trip to Woodland Caribou Provincial Park. To start with, you're going to need a quality stove for all of your cooking. And what I have that works out great is the MSR Whisper Light. And that runs on white gas or regular unleaded fuel. And what I bring in are 2 33-ounce MSR bottles full. Pretty much kind of a no-fail stove. Works out great. Boils water fast. All that good stuff. A couple different flashlights. What I just picked up and will be trying for the first time is this backpack for Isla. And for 2 weeks, Isla's going to need 40 cups of food. And to be honest, I've gotten tired carrying all of her stuff. So for the first time, Isla is going to carry her own weight. And she is so excited. She's still a little scared of it, but she's getting used to it. As far as filming goes, in addition to the GoPro that I'm using right now, I'll bring in my Nikon. And I guess the main benefit of that is if there's say a woodland caribou or a moose or whatever that's a couple hundred yards out. With the GoPro, you can't zoom in. It's great for close-up stuff, but not zooming in. And the Nikon will take care of that. So hopefully we see a woodland caribou or a moose. Of course, I have to bring a bunch of sunscreen because a fair-skinned Finlander like myself is going to burn up real easy. For rainy days, when I'm stuck underneath the tarp, I'll bring a book to read. Obviously, you're going to want to have a map and compass. These Adventure Series maps are pretty good. They show the canoe routes in addition to all the portages. And as a backup, I bring a GPS. And in a minute, I'm going to show you a trick as far as loading up your route into the GPS. Pretty simple using Google Earth, which is a free application. Of course, we're going to bring a tackle box because that's the main thing I do when I go on these trips. On a rainy day, I'll go over the different stuff that I use for the walleye, northern, and lake trout. But one thing I'll point out right now is this steri pin I just picked up. And rather than having a water filter, all you have to do with this is hit the on button, drop this into the Nalgene bottle, stir it for like 60 or 90 seconds for a liter, and it's the UV rays that actually kill 99.9% of the bacteria. So hopefully I don't have any Giardia 5 days into this trip. We'll test it out. Gotta bring a collapsible fish net. You never know when you might have that 30-inch lake trout right up to the side of the canoe and shakes off because you didn't have a net when you could have had it. First aid kit, pretty important for solo tripping or any tripping in the wilderness for that matter. TP, obviously this is just as essential as that. All right, so on the way in, what I'm going to wear is this lightweight polyester shirt and pair of pants. It's this stuff is nice because it dries extremely quickly if you happen to get caught in a little rainstorm. And also, if the bugs are bad, hopefully they're not, but if they're bad, you don't get bit up quite as bad. I'll bring in two 35-liter dry packs. Here I have my sleeping pad, adds a little bit of cushion, and rolled up within that is a sleeping bag. 8x10 blue tarp. I don't know, you can spend $120 on a tarp, but for $20, the blue tarp works. I got the tungsten 2-person tent by Marmot, and it was about time I upgraded to something a little bit more solid, and I'm excited to break this one in on this trip. Within this dry pack, I have all of my clothing that I need. Here's a collapsible saw, and I'm just going to bring this in. I'm not going to bring a hatchet in. The main reason actually for bringing this in is for clearing trees that might be down across the portages. From what I hear, with 500 to 700 people going into Woodland Caribou a year, finding firewood is not going to be too big of an issue. I have my cook set, my pot, and then a couple different frying pans. You might be wondering, why am I bringing a snorkel and a mask on a canoe trip? Well, these lakes up at Woodland Caribou are deep, clear, oligotrophic lakes, and they are prime for snorkeling in. I'm hoping I can get some pretty cool footage from that. And all of this gear, plus the food, is going to go into my CCS pack and my two 35-liter dry bags. And the idea is I can grab, when I pull up to a portage, I can take one dry bag, the canoe, and go, drop that off, come back and grab the CCS bag, and then the other dry pack. And fortunately, in Woodland Caribou, the portages aren't too terribly long, so we're set. And last but not least, bring in two fishing rods in case one breaks, or if I'm fishing for lake trout and walleye, I can have one set up for each. And you can never go wrong with the trusty ugly stick. Next stop, Red Lake, Ontario. Alright, just kidding. Next stop is my computer, and here I will show you quickly how you can create a path in Google Earth, which, like I said before, is a free application, and you can upload those into your GPS unit. So the yellow shows the loop that I'll be going, and on probably day 7 or 8, I'm going to be on Aegean Lake, which is this one right here. And I'm curious to check out this lake that's just to the east of it. So I want to make a day trip there, and I want to make a route so I can follow it on my GPS if I get turned around or anything like that. So to start with, I'm going to go over on the left hand side and right click on My Places, add folder, we'll call it Day Trip, and click on that folder, and within that we're going to come up here, if I can get up there. Alright, right at the top of the screen you can add path. Click on that. We'll call it Path Day Trip. And we'll start right on the north side. There's a little channel that comes into this. And this doesn't have to be perfect. But when I get to this side, there's going to be a portage here. Portage here. Portage here, and then it's probably tough to see on the screen, but there's going to be one final short portage, and I'm choosing the narrowest part of land to cross. And I already checked it out, the elevation doesn't change too terribly much here, so it might be like a 60-foot incline and decline, so not terrible, not backbreaking. Okay, so there's my day trip to the lake just east of Aegean. And now I want to get that into my GPS. So there's a few steps that we're going to have to do now. That folder that we created, Day Trip, we're going to right click on that folder and we're going to save Place As, and just save it wherever it makes sense so you can find it. And now I'm going to go to GPS Visualizer. And right now this is a free tool that you can use to convert GPS KMZ files that you would get on Google Earth and turn them into a format that you can ultimately upload into your GPS. Very important to make sure the output format is GPX. Choose files, and that's going to be that day trip that I just saved. Convert, and then it goes through the process and it gives you a link that you can right click on and save link as, and I'm not going to change the name at this point. There you go, there's a GPX file that you can now upload into your GPS, and there's a couple different ways you can do it depending on your GPS. You can just plug it in, copy and paste. Another tool that I like to use is this DNR Garmin, and this will sync up to your, it's another free application, and it'll sync up to your GPS device, and then file, load from, and you're again going to navigate to where you saved it. One thing important to note right here, lower right hand corner, right now it's looking for a text file that's not a GPX file. So you have to click on that, select the GPX file, and now you'll be able to find where you just saved it. Open it. It's going to be a track. If you made a bunch of points, you would select waypoint, but for this we're going to say a track, and it was successfully loaded, and we are going to select all those tracks, come up to the top, track, upload, transfer complete. Now those are on my GPS, and I have my day trip solidified. Pretty cool tool. Anyways, now the next step will be Red Lake, Ontario. We'll see you in part 2.